The House will come to order. The escorts are dismissed to meet our guest. To escort the Supreme Court, Representatives Humphreys, Lewis, and Brownlee Page. To escort the Senate, Representatives Bryce, Laura Williams, and Melton. The House will stand at ease. Mr. Sergeant at Arms, please admit the Senate. Mr. Sergeant at Arms, please admit Chief Justice Rosen and the other members of the Kansas Supreme Court.
Well, thank you, and please be seated. Mr. Speaker, Mr. President, Governor Kelly, legislators, and other honored dignitary, and my fellow Kansans, good afternoon. And I want to thank Speaker Hawkins and President Masterson for your invitation and opportunity to report on the state of the Kansas Judiciary. This is the first time, if you can't tell, that I've had the honor of speaking in this chamber and addressing a large and distinguished group of elected officials who share a common interest, serving our fellow Kansans. I would like to take this opportunity to recognize my colleagues, my great colleagues on the Kansas Supreme Court, seated right over here, and also recognize Judge Sarah Warner and the Kansas Court of Appeals. Thank you both for being here this afternoon. Though I've worked alongside many of you in the past, I want to formally introduce myself and share with you how I came to be standing before you today. My name is Eric Rosen, and I've been a member of the Kansas Supreme Court since 2005. Following Justice Lukert's recent announcement that she would be stepping down as Chief Justice and retiring from the court, I was appointed to fill that role in accordance with the provisions outlined in the Kansas Constitution that responsibility goes to the next most senior justice on the bench. I'm especially grateful to be joined by my wife, Libby, who I've shared 52 wonderful years of marriage. Her support, her wisdom, commitment to me and our community has been a constant source of strength throughout my career. We're also joined, oh wait, that's fine, you clap. Thank you. We are also joined by some of our children, some couldn't make it today, and grandchildren whose presence remind me every day why the work we do in public service and the policies that you consider and adopt in this chamber matters so deeply. And if my family would rise, and Libby, please stand and be recognized. It's family, community, and service that have shaped every chapter of my life, and they are at the heart of my remarks that I will share with you today. Some of you know that before law school, before opening a legal practice, and before becoming a judge, my career began in education and social work. Then, as now, my passion has always been public service and building meaningful relationships. I'm a Topeka native, educated in the Topeka Public Schools, and a proud graduate of Topeka West High School, class of '71. And I also hold an honorary graduate degree or diploma from Topeka High School. And I've also graduated from the University of Kansas and Washburn Law School. I was born here after my parents moved to Kansas when my father began a postgraduate training and his life work at the world-renowned Menninger Clinic. That move shaped our family story and my own. It's also how I met my wife. Her father and parents also moved to Topeka, and her father, Stuart Averill, like mine, worked at Menninger and also served as clinical director at the Boys Industrial School. At that time, and for decades afterwards, people from across the nation and around the world came to Topeka to train, to work, and seek care at the Menninger Clinic. Growing up within the Menninger community fostered a very distinct and unique spirit, an unparalleled culture and ethnic mix that is difficult to describe unless you lived it. Menninger revolutionized mental health care. Its interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary model treated the whole person, not merely a diagnosis, and helped countless individuals achieve lasting recovery and success. Just as importantly, Menninger ignited broader conversations about systemic change, reshaping how society understands and responds to mental illness. With us today is Dr. Walt Menninger, the last surviving member of a generation of Menningers whose vision and leadership helped define psychiatry and mental health treatment in the 20th century. Dr. Walt, it's great to see you. Would you please stand or wave and be acknowledged? Thank you, Walt. What we came to understand then, and what we understand now even more clearly, is this. Without addressing underlying issues and providing individualized support, lasting change is unlikely. In 2022, the legislature and the executive branch came together to host a mental health summit that served as a catalyst for us to break out of our silos and bring together courts, to bring law enforcement, mental health providers, and the community to improve our response to mental health issues. I was present, and I recall that you, President Masterson, former Speaker Reichman, Governor Kelly, and the Chief Justice all shared the stage and provided the opening remarks, thereby illustrating the interbranch collaboration on this important issue. Following that summit, former Chief Justice Lukert signed an administrative order for our judicial districts to develop multi-branch communities of practice. When we convened the second statewide mental health summit this past year, 26 of the 31 judicial districts had established a community of practice or in the process of putting one in place. The 2025 summit, held at Fort Hays State University, brought together nearly 500 professionals from different disciplines. Once again, we saw the power of coming together to learn from one another and identify solutions to help those adults and children struggling with behavioral and mental health challenges. These professionals are on the front line working with individuals in our communities who are trying to access services. The summit combined national and local speakers who educated and informed participants on how each partner can contribute to the common vision of improving court and community response to mental health issues. As a district court judge for over 12 years, I saw firsthand how overwhelming it can be to navigate the justice system. I became acutely aware of how individuals with mental health challenges and substance abuse and use disorders enter into and too often cycle through our courts. Recent data reaffirms this reality. Young women with mental health challenges and issues are significantly more likely to be arrested, while young men who are arrested are more likely to struggle with substance abuse disorder. In response, Kansas has taken meaningful steps toward and through intra-agency collaboration. We have implemented specialty courts, including drug treatment, veterans, and most recently, family treatment courts. The judicial branch has championed these problem-solving courts to address cases where mental illness or substance use disorders are an underlying cause of criminal behavior. Specialty courts focus on accountability paired with treatment, supervision, and support. They aim to address the root causes of crime, not just its consequences. These courts are designed to break cycles, guiding people out of repeated contact with the justice system and into treatment, stability, and recovery. The results are clear. Individuals who graduate from specialty court programs are more likely to live stable, productive lives, and are less likely to return to court. This is the power of treating the whole person, and it's the kind of justice system our communities deserve. Thank you. Thank you. The judicial branch, I want to move into the next phase of this, really appreciates and very much acknowledges the legislature's action last year to provide general fund dollars for specialty courts. Funding these courts have historically come from multiple sources, including state agencies, local partners, and federal grants. While these investments have been instrumental in establishing courts in some areas, they are neither sustainable as demand grows. Grant funding is more competitive and in some cases has been eliminated. Opportunities to expand specialty courts into new areas are limited. The legislature's investment allows for better coordination of services, additional data collection, program improvement, accountability, and expansion of programs. The Specialty Court Funding Advisory Committee, which includes 4 legislators, is recommending an appropriation of $1.5 million for fiscal year 2027. We look forward to sharing the Judiciary and Budget Committees the work that is being done in our specialty courts and discuss how they offer a powerful return on investment for Kansas. As I reflect on the initiatives like specialty courts and the Mental Health Summit, I continue to believe that Kansans are best served when our branches of government work collaboratively. As we consider the work that lies ahead, it is no surprise that the judicial branch is especially concerned about the growing attorney shortage and its impact on all of our communities, but most especially our rural communities. In 2022, the Supreme Court convened the Rural Justice Initiative Committee to gather data and make recommendations about how to respond to the attorney shortage. The committee, led by my colleague, Justice K.J. Wall, included leaders from across the state with a passion and an interest for serving rural Kansas, including Senator Elaine Bowers and Senator, formerly Representative Tory Blue. The committee released their report and recommendations in December of 2024. The 10 recommendations identified by the committee include both legislative and non-legislative strategies for addressing the issue. I am pleased to report that we have made progress on many of the recommendations this past year. Recently, I signed an administrative order establishing a permanent rural justice committee charged with monitoring the issue, implementing recommendations, and evaluating their success. Because so many of our rural attorneys are in solo practice, the committee heard from law students and lawyers about being unprepared to set up and run a small firm. The University of Kansas and the Washburn University of Law School have taken steps to address this concern by developing a rural curriculum that prepares students practicing in rural areas to manage the business aspects of running a law firm. At the same time, law schools and professional organizations are working to create professional networks to better support those practicing in more isolated areas across our state. During the 2025 session, this body held hearings on legislation that would establish two programs: a rural attorney training program and a tuition reimbursement program for those who attend Kansas Law School and ultimately live and practice in rural Kansas. These programs were modeled after other initiatives in Kansas to seek to address similar challenges, most notably involving physicians and veterinarians. That legislation remains alive for your consideration this year, and our budget request includes funding to get these programs started. The judicial branch asks, in the continued spirit of working together, that you advance Senate Bill 214. I want to be clear about the challenges that lie ahead if we don't act. Addressing the court system will be more difficult for Kansas businesses and Kansans seeking remedies in criminal and civil matters. We currently have counties in Kansas with no attorneys. And in other counties, attorneys are serving as city or county attorneys, prosecutors, and judges, meaning they are not taking on any additional casework. There is also a public safety impact of the shortage: increased workload for guardian ad litems, lack of access to legal representation in child in need of care cases, domestic matters, criminal prosecution and defense, and the risk of being able to continue the important work we have committed to with specialty courts. Regardless of the legal question, our system calls for fair and efficient process for all matters coming before the court. Our urban and suburban communities are beginning to feel the impact of the attorney shortage as well, as those lawyers take on cases in our rural communities, stretching themselves to reach all four corners of our great state. This stretch is not just inconvenient. Travel times mean less time with clients, the challenge of scheduling hearings across multiple districts, and ultimately a more expensive process overall. Remote hearings can provide some relief, but cannot and should not be used for all types of legal proceedings. Courts can and are doing many things, including working to simplify procedures without sacrificing due process. But our court system and rules of procedure, both civil and criminal, were built to handle cases in which parties are represented by attorneys. And for many individuals, hiring an attorney is just simply not possible. To help respond to these challenges, this year, the judicial branch launched the Kansas Online Self-Help Center. This site includes access to pay fines, court forms, and topical information, district court contact information, where to find in-person self-help centers, hearing schedules, and other resources. While not a substitute for having legal representation, these resources can and help individuals become more familiar with court processes and complete the necessary paperwork for filings. The portal has quickly become one of the most accessed and successful available through Kansas through the judicial branch's website, and our staff and we have delivered to each of your offices cards to make available for your constituents to take with them when they visit you here. These cards have information about how to access this service. All of this work aligns with the mission, vision, and priorities that we most recently adopted in our strategic plan. Several years ago, with the assistance from the National Center of State Courts, Chief Justice Lukert directed the judicial branch to develop a new strategic plan to guide the branch as it entered into this new phase, particularly during the rollout of the statewide case management system. In 2025, we convened a diverse group of judicial branch employees from across Kansas to develop an updated strategic plan. Working again with the National Center, the committee engaged in in-person meetings and online discussions, reviews extensive survey data, and ultimately crafted a new mission and vision that reflects where the judicial branch is today and where we are headed into the future. The core values that I embraced in those early years of my training and professional experience, serving others on shared interests, working collaboratively to identify solutions and affect positive change, and acting with integrity, continue to guide my work today, and I believe they are values shared by everyone in this chamber. And finally, I want to take just a moment of personal and professional privilege to recognize Justice Marla Lukert for her outstanding leadership and service as Chief Justice over the past 5 years. And I think an applause is appropriate for her. Well, uh, Chief, I hope you're watching. That was quite impressive. Justice Lukert and I have traveled parallel paths for most of our legal careers. We were appointed Shawnee County District Court judges and within a year of each other in the 1990s, and her appointment to the Supreme Court in 2003, I joined her there in 2005. Together, we have served side by side for more than 3 decades. Under her steady leadership, the judicial branch navigated some of the most significant challenges we have ever faced with unflappable grace. She strengthened our court system, making it more resilient, more effective, and better prepared for the future. Equally important, she fostered strong relationships within the judicial branch and with our partners seated here in the executive and legislative branches. She will be deeply missed by all of us, and especially by me as a colleague and a confidant. While her tenure of Chief Justice has come to a close, she will always remain a trusted and close personal friend. To all in the chamber here, thank you for your service, for your leadership, and dedication to the great state of Kansas. To all in judicial branch employees and judges that are with us, we appreciate you, and we could not do this work without you. Together, we are making great strides in improving and strengthening our courts and serving our communities, but much work still remains to be done. The judicial branch stands ready to work with you to make sure that our court system is accessible and responsible to the needs of all Kansas. May you and our great state be blessed. Thank you, and thank you for such a warm welcome this afternoon. Thank you.
The escorts will lead the justices out of the chambers. The Speaker recognizes the Majority Leader Croft for a motion to recess.
Mr. Speaker, I move the House stand in recess until 6 p.m.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. We stand in recess.
See you at 6.
Huh?
See you